Hi guys, welcome back to Alfatron Electronics. Today we will take a look at the ALF MA15075D amplifier. Okay, so the MA15075D is a 1x150 watt or 2x75 watt stereo amplifier. When it is in 100 volt line mode, and I'll show you the buttons on the back and the outputs on the back in a moment. If it's on 150 watt mode, it is in 100 volt line or 70 volt line mode, and it becomes a mono amplifier. If it is in low impedance mode, either 4 ohm or 8 ohm, then it is a stereo amplifier providing 2x75 watts outputs at 4 ohm. So let's have a look at the front panel. So as you can see from the front panel, you have a couple of switches and dials. I'll just start off here on the side. This is your volume indicator to show you what the loudness is of the amplifier. Then you have the volume plus and minus switches, and you also have a mute switch. There's also some indication there whether the amp is in standby mode or on, and also which of the line input sources it is selected to, which we'll discuss in a moment. But essentially the sources are analog audio, optical audio input, or a 2-channel Dante input. So if we flip the amp around, we have a quick look at the back of the amp. Again, I'll start off on the far side of the amplifier here. So here you'll see 2 network ports. The bottom port is the Ethernet port for the GUI interface control of the amplifier, also external control of the amp through third-party commands. And then there is the Dante input at the top, and that's for all your Dante audio inputs. And as I mentioned, that is a 2-channel Dante amplifier, or a 2-channel Dante input as well. Then we have the optical input next, and that's your Toslink optical input. Then we also have a balanced Phoenix input for your analog audio interface. Just at the top here, you have the TX-RX for RST32 control. So the amp is also, like I mentioned, LAN controlled or RST32 controlled. And then right next to that RST32 port, you have a trigger port for muting the amplifier from an external control. So you can just give it a contact closure, and that will actually just mute the output of the amplifier. So you could use that in a fire alarm system to give a trigger to the system to actually just shut down all background music sources going out on the amplifier as well. Then next up, we have the 2 mic inputs, mic 1 and mic 2. Both those inputs are mic line switchable, and both of them have phantom power on and off buttons on the back, and then your analog gain control for them once they are in microphone mode. So that's all that section at the top bottom there. Then we have also included a line output, so that's a stereo line output. The thing about that is that the line output and the amplified output from the GUI interface is actually 2 separate outputs. So you can control them separately. So you can have the amplified outputs either louder and the analog output softer, or vice versa, or set them to the same level. However, you need to control that output. So from the output standpoint, all the input sources, so your analog, Dante, and optical inputs, are switching sources, so you can only activate one of those audio sources at a time. But the 2 microphone inputs can be set to override them and be on all the time. And you can also set some priorities on that with an internal ducker that will then duck your music sources. If either one of the 2 mic inputs become active, you can then and it's independently, it's a ducker on each channel to then shut down or lower the volume on the background music sources or your input sources. All right, then lastly, looking at the section here for the amplified outputs, you'll see at the top here is a switch with a couple of settings. That's your low impedance 8 ohm, 4 ohm switch settings, as well as your 70-100 volt line switch. Right at the bottom, you have separate outputs for the low impedance. You'll see the left and right outputs here. There's a single output for the 70-100 volt line control. So again, you would need to choose which output you're using and then wire up the relative output of the unit, either as stereo and low impedance or mono 100 volt, 70 volt line, as we mentioned. Lastly, you have your on and off switch with your dedicated 110 or 220 volt power input. And that's a switch mode power supply, so it can connect to either 110 or 220 volt power sources. that about covers it for the MA15075. We hope you guys enjoyed it, and as always, join us on our YouTube channel for more content, or visit our webpage at www.alfatronelectronics.com for more information.